I think what's now happening the last years with the Swedish Conservative Party, they wanted for 75 years to take down and take away all the socialist parts of the welfare state and the welfare state itself. So when the Conservative came to power in 2006, there was a big debate that they have changed. They have now accepted the welfare state, the Swedish model. They are almost social democrats, like Tony Blair have accept a lot of Tories policy making in Great Britain. And what happened was that they have accepted a new form of welfare state, a privatized welfare state, where the CEO in those privatized big business companies, they are as conservative as the public sector officials in the 70s in Sweden were very red and socialistic. So their friends are now in these big corporations privatizing the welfare state, and the Conservative Party is now accepting a privatized welfare state. So I think that is something is happening, and the corporation is also changing the conservative side of the politics.
In my new little book, I actually talk about this, and I say, quoting the Swedish example, and I say, is this the new social compromise, right? You can have your welfare state, provided corporations can play very comfortable little games with politicians about providing it. If that's the new social compromise, it's another Faust pact with the devil.
Everything is like with social democracy. Is it over? That's the question. Is it over now? That's what you think. If you're a social democrat and like the public sector and the welfare state, was this some kind for 75 years after the Second World War and never anymore? That's a very sad question. What do you think?
The British Conservatives now are very happily saying, we are learning from the Swedish Social Democrats. They had free schools. And free schools are presented as movements of parents, usually religious parents, who want, or parents who want a lot of sport or music, who set up these schools. Actually, of course, what it's really about, as it is whenever you have a privatization of a welfare state, behind these people, behind the voluntary sector people, stand the big corporations. And the second time round for bargaining for a contract, they come in with their big money. They know how to win contracts. At the moment in Britain, our health service is being marketized, and local teams of medical practitioners have to bid for the right to continue providing their practice. They're just a few doctors, very busy. In the evening, they have to work out a business plan. Along comes an American corporation who can employ whole specialist teams on building business plans. Vroom, they come in, and the local doctors are driven out of the town. This is leading to the destruction of welfare state. But there are reactions, and the Hegelian dialectic continues. But when these things start to deliver bad consequences, then you do get protest.
Hi, democracy is a lot about taking responsibility. My part in the civil society, and also as a civil member, is not only to go and vote, but also keeping alive the democratic debate. And you can see that here locally in our region, Skåne, where the healthcare is in a great decline, and we have a chaotic situation, really. And a lot of groups and organizations have been out and demonstrated and repeatedly given demands that this has to end, and we have to get better healthcare. This is our joint resources. In these demonstrations and the repeated demands, I miss the Social Democratic Party backing up. Where are the union and the party when these demands are coming? Because this is our chance to have the voices heard.
You're pointing out something very important, because I think that for a very long time in Sweden, the Swedish Social Democrats and all their movements and trade unions, they was the people, they was the moral majority, they was the movements and the movement, and it's not that anymore. But I still think that what's said on the party meeting or in the parliamentary group, that is still what the people think. And if we say something on the party meeting, then the people will know. And I think that is a missing link, you can say, between what we were and what we are. I think I'm going out every week meeting unionists, activists, and they used to start every sentence like this: why shouldn't Social Democrats? Why don't they? Why don't you stop privatizations or raise the taxes or do anything about the unemployment? I think that is why isn't the political party, the Social Democrats in Sweden, do what these protesters want? And I think that is a consequence of this kind of lobbyism.
Yeah, I think you gave up the answers, and they're rather bad, worrying answers. Now, there are signs, you see, the way in which and this shows some of the way in which protest is important. The protests in Greece and Spain and Italy and Portugal have really rocked people in the Commission. They realise that, I think, that they are pursuing a market agenda that is losing touch with the social agenda. That I was talking earlier about this need for marketisation to go alongside the opposite politics. And I think some of the people in the Commission have understood that. This probably doesn't mean anything, but the second half of next year, Greece has the presidency of the Commission, can you believe? And the Commission is organising a conference to start this process, and they've asked me to open it with a talk about these issues I'm talking about here tonight. Now, that means there's some people in the middle of the Commission who are trying. They'll probably be defeated, but there is something worth fighting for in Europe.
How do you feel about right now, when we have a weakening trade unions in both Scandinavia but also in whole of Europe, in that development of society?
Yeah, this is one of the most urgent issues, really. I mean, I know the unions are declining quite badly in Scandinavia, but it's still it's so much worse everywhere else. But this is partly about building memberships in the new sectors of the economy. So one starts to think, what are the kinds of services that trade unions can offer as a package to especially to young people moving around precarious occupations? And it's a generation that's slipping away, actually. And especially people in the precarious sectors who aren't included in the collective bargains. And this will need enormous organisational work. And our unions are trying to do it. They all know about this. I mean, this isn't news to them. They are trying, but so far it's not been very successful. And the Italian unions advertise in the buses that if you've got problem filling in your income tax form, the union will help you do it. Now, I don't know if anyone takes up the offer, but it's not stupid, right? You know, it's a way of saying, look, we're here. If you're a working person, we're here. We're an organisation that's here for you. And I think it needs a lot of creativity around that kind of thing. If we lose union membership, then you really have lost democracy.
Let me just, on the issue of trade unions, ask Daniel. Now, this growing together of business and even social democratic political elites, does that go also for the trade unionist elites or leadership?
The elite of the trade union organizations or the trade unions is still from the workplaces. They are long runners. They started in the unions on the floor and end some of them as the elite of this union. And I think that is also a very interesting difference between the Social Democratic Party and the LO trade unionism. The class structure of these elites. It's totally different. And I'm writing a book now about some of these consequences of what we're talking about now in Sweden. And one of these was that 1991, when the Social Democrats lost the power, not the last time, yeah, before 2006, it was the last time we lost power in 1991. Then the party lost, I think, 19 seats in the parliament. 18 of them was from the trade union members. And in the same era, we sold our magazines and papers. We couldn't afford to have labor and workers' papers in all cities in Sweden. And in the same era, the same year, the trade unions had not anymore this collective membership in the party. So from 1889 to 1989, there was a trade union majority in all social democratic organizations, on the basement and in the elite. And that was also the structure of the party elite. And even the party, like the persons worked in the party was picked from these organizations and the trade unions. And now, 2010, I think, they decided that everyone who will have a job in the Social Democratic Party must have an exam from the university. What is that meaning for the Workers' Party of Social Democracy in Sweden? I think that is the death of that. I haven't heard any European politicians with the Social Democratic membership having a vision or an alternative about this crisis. I mean, when I took my first course in the Young Social Democrat Youth Organization, then we know about Keynesianism and how to recover economy. That's like the soul of the social democracy, and you can't hear that today. And that's what I mean, that maybe I think there's a great need of social democracy, and there's a lack of parties that they are social democrats. So there's a continent of social democrats with no parties.
We must end on a slightly optimistic note.
And I thank you very much for coming here. Thank you.